Welcome. Today we are going to talk about how attitude could be changed. Though we say that attitude is quite a stable thing, but it could also be changed, and how to change that by different marketing activities, that is the purview of today's discussion, and I, Dr. Shravanti Mukherjee, would be delivering this lecture to you. So, basic learning objective of this particular topic are how to change attitude, impact of persuasive communication on attitude, and along with its marketing implications. So, our first part is how to change attitude. Consumers' beliefs can be altered in several ways. So, the first way of changing the attitude we say. So, in this session, first of all we will talk about some common ways of changing attitude, and then we will see how we use the persuasive communication to change attitude. So, therefore, the first step to change attitude could be by altering the customer's beliefs. Consumers' beliefs could be altered by several ways. Marketers normally believe that shifting beliefs from products will in effect derive more positive attitude and persuade the consumers in favor of their products. So, government sometimes deliberately look to alter several myths like false beliefs about something, irrelevant predisposition. So, the pulse polio vaccination campaign by superstar Amitabh Bachchan or the widespread HIV awareness campaign are some of the recent examples of this kind. Then we can also look for developing some new beliefs. So, apart from whatever I understand about certain brand, I may develop a new belief about the brand also. Okay, so if I just tell that when Tanishq came to our country, or I believe was that it is a kind of very elite brand, and it's mostly for the working class, because it's 18 karat gold and very sleek jewellery, very westernized look and all this. Gradually it repositioned itself because it understood that in India the jewellery market is mostly the wedding market. So, therefore, they have changed the design of the jewellery, they have changed their positioning message and repositioned them as a wedding jeweler. They continued their working ladies for the working ladies segment also with their Mia series, Tanishq Mia series. Similarly, they have again segmented the market and said that we also have jewellery for several types of weddings like Bengali wedding, Gujarati wedding, and all different kind of designs which may cater to the needs of different kind of wedding. And now, so that is how they have positioned themselves as your wedding jeweler. And now, of late, they have said that they are also a jeweler of festivals. They have come up with their Shubham series, which is released for this Diwali, and elegant and exquisite. The Shubham collection is a testimony to all that is auspicious and marks a ceremonial start to your festivities. So, a celebration of the magnificent craftsmanship of the ancient Indian temples, these flawlessly crafted intricate designs are the perfect blend of Indian heritage and the modern precision, are indeed worthy of being cherished as treasured heirlooms. The designs are like sometimes like temples, something which is it's very they are used a kind of Indian heritage with that, but of course, it is also having the modern design, modern precision we can say, to make it very worthy. And you can see one glimpse which I have taken from Tanishq website. The third way of changing attitude is by changing the attribute importance. So, changing attribute importance is far more intricate than altering beliefs about a brand. Nonetheless, various marketers have productively used their own strategies to contradict this. How to do that? For example, if it could be done by some teaser commercials, it could be done by some very innovative promotional stuffs, but the relative evaluation, the last session I have talked about the relative importance of different attributes in the customer's mind when I talked about the ATO model or the idle point multi attribute model. So, if you can change the relative importance of this relative importance of the attribute in the mind of the customer somehow, then probably the evaluation of the product will also be changing in the mind of the customer. So, that is how when Dove came with 3/4 of moisturizing substance, that was a very new attribute which was added in the Indian soaps and the the bathing soaps, and that is how it has caught the attention. And people started thinking, okay, the soap which is better, which moisturizes better the skin, is a better soap. So, this the customer will start thinking this could be as a very important criteria to evaluate. For example, Indigo has of late announced a children free zone. 3 or 4 rows would be like children free zone. This would be premium seat where the children below 12 years are not allowed to sit, so that their screaming or their kind of tantrums does not disturb these premium customers who want to peacefully travel. Now, these are otherwise have not been thought of also. So, Indigo is first providing this queue one USP. So, customer may start, some customer for example, those who are frequent business traveler, they may have to prepare some slides, some presentation during flight itself. So, they may now think that the airlines which is providing this is even better than what provides me better meal. So, the importance of meal gets lower than the importance of child free zone, and that is how the evaluation will also differ. Then we can change the attitude by changing the idle points. Now, many new products and brands are coming up with completely new and innovative trends. So, the marketers of these existing products are also putting their effort to incorporate some innovative traits in their products. GI is coming up with collar pressing machines, very handy ones. So, these are very completely new products. So, the idle point has not been thought of, and so totally a new, before you expect that kind of product, the product is actually there in the market. So, naturally you will be very close to the idle point. So, that is how your attitude could be even more positive, whereas although it is not a very easy job, because you have to be innovative enough for that. Apple constantly is doing this, because they are constantly focusing on the R&D, coming up with very improved models in every version. So, that is how they are changing the idle point also. I mean, they are making their own benchmarks, and they are becoming sometimes their own benchmark also. So, nonetheless, in the present era of information snowed under, some level of innovation, proper planning and forcing the changing trend of perception of the customer could be of help. Now, changing the relative evaluation of the attributes. When too many brands clutter in the same product category, brands may try to emphasize on some distinctive feature or attributes. Sometimes this can be done by product differentiation. For example, Garnier is advertised as a root nourishing shampoo, Tresemme advertises as a kind of salon made brand, Clinique All Clear as anti-dandruff shampoo. Then we talk about Sunsilk, which is a cosmetic brand, but it is coming with 8 variant for 8 different kind of hairs. We can also go for changing brand beliefs. This is done by changing the attitude of the customers by altering the beliefs of the predisposition about a brand and in an already established product category. Quite often it is used when something negative has been talked about a brand. And long back, when Coca-Cola and Pepsi was there, I mean there was a I am sorry, very sorry, it is not Coca-Cola, there was a controversy about Coca-Cola and Pepsi, because the soft drinks in general, that there is fungus in the bottle. That time both Coca-Cola and Pepsi came up with an advertisement which shows that it is safe to consume. So, in a similar fashion, we have seen that of late the US Department of Transportation with the Federal Aviation Administration and the Pipeline and Hazardous Material Safety Administration has banned Samsung Note 7 in aircrafts with effect from Saturday, October 15, 2016. Now, in lieu of this, Samsung is actually they have to again reveal their brand image or have to protect their brand image somehow. So, what they have done, immediately they have called off the production of Note 7, and they have also announced that the customers who have pre-booked for the same, they can choose Galaxy S7 or S7 Edge as an alternative. Apart from that, they have also announced that some other free facilities like virtual reality handset, cordless headphone, special voucher of rupees 50 etc. would be provided to the customer if the customer chooses an alternative for Note 7, which they have already pre-ordered. So, this is how they are trying to revamp the brand image, which has got tarnished, because otherwise Samsung is going to really be, because they were actually banking too much on Note 7 also. Now, we can add some new attribute to change the the evaluation of the product. For example, the new attribute which the marketers which the customers have not thought of, for example, Colgate, every time they are adding new and new attribute and coming up with different kind of product, with coming up with several product differentiations. Like now they have added active salt, as they are saying that the salt helps the gums and teeth to be stronger. They are using they have roped in Priyanka Chopra to promote this particular variant of Colgate. Close Up has also come with microgranules. Colgate has come with again shining white. So, these are some of the options which are coming up. Then shifting general brand rating. This implies to change the customer's overall assessment of the brand depends on the changed notion about the product and brand attribute. For example, due to rapid escalation of trendy designs and value added services of the mobile handsets, the product positioning has evolved from just being a communication medium to a style statement. Now, say for Google Pixel and Pixel smartphone, they are saying that they are now getting available in the Flipkart for pre-order, and it is saying that the product claims to have a highest rated smartphone camera, a battery that lasts all the day, and one of the USP they have claimed is kind of unlimited storage of photos and videos. This is a very novel feature which they are bringing in their smartphone. Further, it says that this is the first phone with Google Assistant built in. So, that is how it is changing the general rating of the brand. But some marketers, they really say that even after all this, the attitude can really be changed or not. There is some skepticism about it still. So, that is why we say that yes, it can be changed by social influence. You can change attitude by peer pressure. Lifebuoy's Swasth Chetna campaign has first roped in the kids in the schools, and there they have started their propaganda first. So, through the children, the information will pass on to their parents also. So, this is a kind of, and then the children also became their ambassador to promote this kind of concept of washing hand with Lifebuoy soap and preventing diarrhea. So, that is why we say that it can change due to social influence also. It can be altered because of cognitive dissonance. I am very fond of Samsung phones, but once I have heard of that there is some controversy for Note 7, I may form a negative attitude about Note 7 if I have pre-ordered that. Or maybe after consumption of certain product also, I may form negative attitude, maybe because of my negative experience with that brand. However, it is said that the counter attitudinal advocacy is difficult to practice on a mass scale. If I want to counter this or change the attitude, then of course, I have to resort to advertisement or some mass media or a very pre-planned campaign for en masse. So, for that reason I need to know how do I actually try to persuade, in which route. So, I need to know that there are three basic types of attitude. What are the types of attitude which I can change or which I want to change? So, accordingly I will use some appeals, some routes. So, first one is the cognitively based attitude or the object appraisal. This is basically the utilitarian function based things of it is based on the utilitarian function, that is the functional attribute of the product. Customers are more focused on information about the features of the product, attributes of the product. The second one is the actively based attribute or the value expressive attributes. This is like feeling or liking kind of product, where more of emotion is involved with the product rather than the functional attributes of the product. Like for example, when I am going to buy a dress, so that time how will I look with, or how the society will feel if I wear this dress is more important to me rather than the fabric, or If I am a very value conscious customer, then I will be or maybe value expressive customer, then I will think in that way. Affection would be, or the affection function or the liking function or the emotional function component would be more important to me. Third one is the behaviorally based attribute or the self perception based attributes. This is formed after maybe I have used the product and then accordingly I have formed certain kind of attitude out of it. So, now if I see now if I really want to change as a marketer, it is not about individually changing some attitude. If I have to change the mass attitude, then I have to think of persuasive communication in the mass media. So, how do I go about it? So, for the first study was made by Hovland with the Yale attitude change approach, and this approach examined the preconditions under which the persuasive messages can change attitude. The Yale attitude approach focuses on three major things, like who is communicating, B is what is the content of that communication, and C is to whom I am communicating. Is the customer of attitude behavior this of self perception? Is they only develop their attitude based on cognition, or some effectively like emotional customers, or I am talking about utilitarian customers. So, to whom I am talking to, that is important, and the same customer me, when I am thinking of an say buying a sari, I may be very much emotionally attached to that and may think that how if I wear this sari, how people will or whether people will appreciate me or not. That is an affective function, but me when I am buying a laptop, I am looking about the functional attribute of the product. So, that time I am becoming an utilitarian customer. Okay, my attitude would be formed based on this cognitively based attitude. So, this is very important. So, therefore, what will you communicate, the information about the product, or you will try to emotionally connect the customer with the product. So, that again depends on that, and then who is communicating. Is it the government, it is the sponsor of the product, it is the brand ambassador who is communicating, who is talking about it, or it is the newspaper which is talking about it. So, now Petty and Cassiopo, they have developed a model known as elaboration likelihood model, and they said that the attitude could be changed through persuasive communication by two major routes. One is the central route of persuasion, where you are not using any emotion, we are simply talking about the utilitarian attribute of the product, and B is the peripheral route to persuasion. So, attitude change will be more long lived if it happens through central route anyway, because it is more of information and it is more rational. But what happens, sometimes for just drawing the attention of the customer, even the product like insurance, which is an high involvement product and where the customer really wants more information about it, what could be the premium, what could be the benefits, say it is a medical insurance, or even if it is a personal insurance, what could be the exclusions from this insurance, I may be very interested to know about it. But insurance kind of product is usually sold, not bought. So, therefore, you may first use a emotional route to make a connect with the customer, and then you use your sales force or your website to provide more information about the product to the customer. So, even before going to the central route, in this case you may resort to peripheral route for this kind of product. Like ICICI Insurance, Prudential, they talk about, they show the mark of Sindoor, which shows the dependability or reliability, lifelong reliability. So, that is an emotional appeal which it wants to connect. LIC, Zindagi ki saath bhi, Zindagi ki baad bhi, which shows that the mother who is her daughter is getting married and she feels that she has fulfilled her responsibility, because that is a great emotion. Daughter's marriage is a great emotion to the Indian parents till date. So, that is how the initial connect has been made, and then the agents could follow up, agents could tell about the detailed feature of the product or even the websites. So, Petty, Cassiopo and Goldman in 1981, they found that if the relevance is strong of the message, then the people are more influenced by the argument quality rather than the source quality, and it is the reverse in case of low relevance. If I am talking about right now I need a laptop and this information is coming about a laptop. So, therefore, that time I will be more induced about the features which is talking about more features about the laptop, rather than from which source it is coming, whether the website or whatever it is, but I want to read more and more reviews about the brand, and I want to see the comparison of the brands and all these things. So, the information quality is more important to me than the source quality, but if it is a little different, for example, if I am talking about say in the long term I am having a kind of planning of buying a laptop. So, it's not so relevant to me, the message is not so relevant to me at this moment. So, that time maybe some message coming from Dell, some message coming from Sony, or some brand particular brand ambassador like Kareena Kapoor or some Rahul Dravid is talking about a particular laptop, then that may catch my attention in that case. So, people's ability to attain the message content may be influenced by some outside distractors, need for cognition, complexity of the message, and how much they seek information from the society. This is particularly relevant when I am talking about the say aged people, or I am talking about bottom of the pyramid customers. Bottom of the pyramid customers sometimes there are a lot of outside distractors. For example, their own illiteracy, there are semi-literacy. For that reason, they may not be able to gather more information about the product, and even if they gather, they may not be able to comprehend many information. Or sometimes they succumb more to the group pressure for buying it. Sometimes they are indebted to a particular retailer. So, that is why they are actually in a they although they know that they can get a better variant of the product in some other retail, but they fix up a particular, but their nearby retail provides them the product in credit. So, therefore, they select the products which are available in the nearest retail. So, these kind of things which we observe in the reality, these are the outside distractors. So, although I may form some positive attitude if I have freedom of choice. So, I may have chosen some other brand, I may have chosen some I may have a favorable attitude towards some other brand, but just because of my barrier that I have to select this particular retail. So, whichever brands are available in this retail, my total choice set would be actually constrained by that. So, to conclude, the researchers have put forth that usually a cognitively based attitude could be changed by using the central route of persuasion. So, that is the relevance to the marketers actually, that if you say the marketing implications as we are talking about, if it is a utilitarian product, it is better to go for a central route, but when you are talking about an emotionally connection of like tourism product or something, it is better to go by an emotional route. So, marketers also, like when we talk about Tanishq diamond, it goes for the emotional route where Amitabh Bachchan and Jaya Bachchan is shown, and it shows that it is an elegant couple and they are gifting each other. Amitabh Bachchan is giving a gift to his wife in the wedding anniversary. So, that time maybe that emotional connect is there, wedding anniversary is itself an emotional event. So, the product connects with that emotion. So, marketers also need to consider about the culture in which they are operating. So, Han and Shavit, they have observed that Americans are more influenced by the ads that focus on independence and self improvement, while Koreans, they are persuaded by the ad which focuses on interdependence and social standing. So, you also need to look about what kind of appeal, which customers will, what route will actually persuade which kind of customers. And to conclude, advertisements work best if they are tailored to the kind of attitude they are trying to check. So, in short, these are the ways to change the attitude. So, this much for this session, and we will again meet in the next session. Till then, goodbye.